Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 4th of February and I welcome you all at the Thinking Palette, the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll see the articles along with their background and all the related concepts also we are going to see. And I would like to tell you that if you are joining here for the first time, you can download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. The link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube, or you can directly visit Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. Now, moving on, first of all, I would like to show you the overview of the entire newspaper so that you can actually understand that which type of articles are important in the today's newspaper. Okay, so here we have the Delhi edition, this is the page number 1. The first article, 5 collegium picked judges to be posted soon. So guys, we have seen that over the past few days, a lot of tussle has been there between executive and judiciary for the judicial appointment. So 5 judges will be posted. Now you are not required to go and see the names of the judges who will be posted. Not important for your exam. So no need to go too much here. Then banking sector remains stable, resilient, says RBI amid Adani imbroglio. So we have seen this thing that recently Hindenburg report was released against the Adani, which said that Adani's stock prices are manipulated. They have carried the accounting fraud, etc. So in that capacity, what will be the impact on banking sector? What will be the impact on stock market? That is being studied by Reserve Bank of India and the SEBI. Now, LIC, State Bank of India, had invested a lot of money in Adani Group. So because of this Hindenburg report that has been released, now the stock prices are crashing. More than $100 billion of market capitalization has been lost by the Adani. So now when we talk about the State Bank of India, it happens to be the biggest public sector bank of India. Apart from that, other banks have also invested. So whether that will impact negatively, so Reserve Bank of India says that they are stable, not much impact is there. Now, do you need to follow these articles day by day? No. Fine. For your examination? No. Then further moving on, guys, here. Here, see, we can see one article, Supreme Court eases steps for terminally ill patients. So, if we'll see this particular article, Apex Court directs center to submit record banning BBC documentary. So, recently, a BBC documentary, the Modi question, it was showcased, which got banned. So, many people have moved to Supreme Court. Okay. Then, further, railways to ramp up booking capacity from 25,000 to 2.25 lakh tickets. So we often see this thing that when people book tickets, the server, it gets crashed, or basically bookings are not able to go through. So they are increasing the capacity. Now guys, just understand this thing that if you're preparing for the UPSC examination, okay, such kind of things though are not very much important for examination. So no need to waste time in that. Then MCD executive wing passed budget discreetly, ruling party. Now regional news, regional session, not very much important. Tenders, etc. have been given here. Okay, advertisements. Moving on, guys, in this particular direction. Okay, just 19 families shifted after house in Jammu and Kashmir village developed cracks. Now see this thing. We have seen in the past that in Joshimat there are the cracks that have got developed. Because of that, now the families have been evacuated from Joshimat. After that, it has been seen that apart from the Joshimat, many other places in Uttarakhand has also developed these cracks. Even in Masuri, such cracks are being observed, and now in Jammu Kashmir also, these cracks are being developed. So guys, what this is all about? This is all about that how the rampant and mad development that has been carried in the fragile Himalayan zone, it is now showing its true colors, it's showing its implications. So we need to ensure that a balanced development is being ensured. Fine, moving on, guys, in this particular direction. Then political articles, etc. Here, the hard jail to get artificial intelligence powered surveillance system. So we'll see this particular article briefly. Then moving on, Kerala budget. Now guys, you are not required to follow the different state governments budget. If you are preparing for the state PCS examination, then for your state budget you need to be little bit careful about. Okay, then further moving on, guys, in this particular direction. Okay, coming to editorial page. So till editorial page, fine, much important articles are not there. 1 2 important articles are there, we have seen it, we'll take it up. Little to celebrate in Sri Lanka at 75. So guys, we know this thing that economic crisis is going on in Sri Lanka, and amid this economic crisis, 300 million Sri Lankan rupees have been set aside for the celebration of their 75th independence anniversary. So this article is criticizing that Sri Lanka is facing economic crisis. You have food shortages, you don't have fuel, any such kind of a thing, and then you are keeping 300 million Sri Lankan rupees for celebration. Why there is a need for such kind of a thing? So are you required to go in this article? Not much for the examination, because this thing is being criticized. Okay, going green. Now this article, will see, this article is talking about that how in the budget that has been presented, there are certain proposals which will help in green recovery, which will help in climate conscious development. We'll see charge sheet scrutiny. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Reign of terror, Myanmar's junta must be pushed to hold talks with the opposition. So guys, we have seen this thing that nearly 2 years have happened, even more than that, and Myanmar's army, military, they have taken over. Since then, there are no opposition, there is no indication that when democracy will come back. So they are saying that it should hold the talks with the opposition. Then coming to ground zero report, how a man faked his death for insurance and failed. No need to go in the article for examination. Then further moving on, guys. So today is Saturday, and on Saturday we don't have the text and context page which contains some good articles for UPSC. So Saturday is not published. Now coming here, opposition persists with its demands to probe into Adani row. So guys, in the parliament, the opposition is insisting that discussion should held on the Adani's this Hindenburg report. Okay, no need to follow it too much. Then further, guys, moving on, no proposal to use remote EVM in upcoming election. So few days back we have seen this thing that Election Commission of India demonstrated the remote electronic voting machines, from where the migrant people can vote while they are at some other place in their home constituencies. For example, a migrant person in Delhi, from Delhi, can vote in his constituency. Let's say if it is constituencies in Uttar Pradesh, from Delhi he can vote in Uttar Pradesh's home constituency. So this remote EVM was showcased by Election Commission of India. Then opposition members criticized it. Okay, now it has been provided that right now there is no plan to use it in the upcoming elections. Okay, then further moving on, after that, guys, parliament is a north star of democracies, says vice president. What do we mean by this word north star? North star is basically, north star doesn't change its position. It shows the guide, it shows the path to the travelers. Okay, so it has been said that parliament is the north star. Parliament will determine that what will be the constitutional processes and all such kind of things. Now then further moving on, guys, in this particular direction, fine. Then political articles etc have been given. Okay, Indian companies eye drops linked with 55 adverse events in USA. Now over the past few months we have seen this thing that India's pharmaceutical industry had come under fire. We see this thing, first of all, there were certain cough syrups that were exported to Africa, because of which there were many children that got died. For example, in Gambia, the cough syrups were exported by India and the children died there. Okay, similar incidents have happened now in US also, where Indian pharmaceutical companies eye drops are linked with certain adverse reactions such as the eye infections etc. Now guys, the point is that you are actually not required to follow this case or that Gambia cough syrup case, but all these issues at the same time are important. Why? Because India happens to be the world's largest generic drug manufacturing nation, and India is also called as the pharmacy to the world. And being the pharmacy to the world, these kind of incidents will reduce the India's reputation. Okay, so we need to be more careful and we need to inquire that why these kind of things are happening. Okay, then further moving on, after that, India to showcase success in rural and archaeological tourism at G20. We'll see this thing, this article also. Supreme Court refuses to refer conversion issue to Law Commission. Okay, so basically, guys, there are the petitions that are being filed where it is being said that Law Commission of India should take this particular matter, that whether the forcible conversion, to deal with the forcible conversion, we need a specific law or not. Now, anyhow, guys, the forced conversions are not allowed in India. It is a kind of an offense. But the question was that we should refer it to Law Commission. Fine. But the point is that the Supreme Court has refused that no, will not send this matter to Law Commission right now. So no need to go too much here. Coming to world page, Anthony Blinken postpones China visit after spy balloon is detected over the USA. So this it was supposed that it is a Chinese spy balloon. Fine. So they have cancelled their trips. No need to go too much. Then after that, Pakistan to agree to tough IMF rules as crisis worsens. So guys, we have seen this particular thing that now Pakistan is facing in economic crisis. Okay, now understand this particular thing that last year when flood came in Pakistan, after that Pakistan's economy had got impacted a lot. Their forex foreign exchange cover is just enough to meet 1 week of imports. They need now money, they need bailout package, so they are negotiating the bailout package with IMF. Okay, and IMF's bail packages are conditional. IMF will impose certain conditions on you, for example restructuring and all such kind of a thing. So Pakistan is agreeing that whatever you say, we agree, just give us the money. Then further moving on, after that guys, SBI's exposure to Adani as on December 31st is 27,000 crore. Fine, as on 31st December it was this, as on 31st January it will be that no need to follow. Then privatization of insurance, public sector banks off the table for now, Pandey. Okay, so guys, earlier it basically over the past few months there were the talks that two of the biggest public sector banks will be privatized. Okay, people criticized it also. Now government has clarified that no, we are not right now thinking privatization of public sector banks. Okay, then after that, corporate trends, etc. we have here. Okay, only 4 lakh crore of countries savings are in the tax saving schemes, revenue secretary. Now guys, understand this particular thing that what has happened, the budget got announced, and in the budget new tax regime has talked about that you will not pay any income tax up to 7 lakh rupees of income in new tax regime. Now understand, just to simplify this particular matter, so basically guys, when the people are filing their income tax returns, they have an option that they can claim exemptions and deductions. Okay, now if you don't want to claim any exemption or deduction, you need not to pay income tax up to 7 lakh rupees. Now, it has been said that earlier people were specifically investing in certain of the investment schemes. Okay, they were saving the money so that they can claim exemption. Now if they it has been said, and now if you have introduced a new regime where you don't need to pay tax till 7 lakh rupees, you don't need to show any deduction, people might not save. Okay, so it has been said that 4 lakh crore rupees savings are in the tax saving schemes. Majority of savings are there. Even if this tax saving scheme is not there, that will be there. Okay, so it's saying that people like to invest not only specifically to save the tax, but anyhow other reasons also, as a kind of as a way to protect their wealth. Also people like to invest in stock, into mutual funds, into other kind of schemes. Okay, now moving on guys in this particular direction. After that we have the sports page. Now point is that, do you require to track that how many lakh crore rupees are in the tax saving schemes? No. Okay, now the next is the sports page. So guys, this is all the overview of entire newspaper. Now why I show you overview and why I discuss briefly about all the articles that have been there in newspaper, to let you know that which articles are actually important, which articles are just to seen in headlines, which articles are just to be ignored. Understand this thing that every day students are wasting 4 or 5 hours just to read their newspaper. Why? It's because even unnecessary information you are reading, you are making notes thinking that it is important for examination. You are wasting time today. You'll waste time while you'll revise that particular thing. This will become such bulky notes, it doesn't make any sense. So therefore you need to develop a wisdom to know what is important, what is not important. Some things look very spicy. Okay, you think that I need to read it, but no, for exam many times they don't make much of a sense. Now discussing the relevant articles one by one, and in every class we start with a GS quotation which can be used in one of your GS papers, either 1, 2, 3 or 4. So today we'll take the quotation from Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin says, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as are those who are. So basically the people who are not affected by any wrong thing, they also need to come and they need to ask for the justice. Only the people who are the sufferers, okay, only if they will come for the justice, that true justice will not be restored. Okay, so the common citizens need to raise their voices against the injustices that are happening or that are conducted against other people as well. So then only real justice will come. So you can use this particular idea in GS for GS paper number 2 as well as for GS paper number 4. Now moving on, guys, moving on. Supreme Court Supreme Court eases steps for terminally ill patients to withdraw treatment. Now we'll see this particular article, guys, with respect to GS paper number 2 and GS paper number 4. Social justice and ethics. Social justice and ethics. Now, before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you some of the basic background information. Okay, so let's see that. Now, basically, guys, there is terminal illness. Terminal illness. Terminal illness or terminal disease are those type of disease in which there is no condition that a person will make complete recovery and a person will be able to live a normal life. So there are certain types of cancer. There are certain types of cancer where there is no recovery. Many number of times what happened, patient are declared as brain dead. Patient are declared as brain dead. And when they are brain dead, what is happening? Their body might be working if you keep it on certain medical equipment such as ventilator, but a person is brain dead, no possibility that a person will recover ever. So basically, now in these conditions, what we can happen, we can prolong the life of a person for few years or for such a time. But the point is that, is it dignified to prolong their illness? Is it dignified to keep them alive on certain equipments? Because the quality of life had degraded and every day they are living, they are actually in pain. So basically, it has been provided that sometimes it is justified that these people are given a dignified death. It is important that these people are given a kind of a dignified death. Now, on this particular thing, guys, we have article number 21. Article number 21, which talks about the right to life. Now, in article 21, is right to death also given to people? When people are not able to live a dignified life, as in these cases, can they be given death or not? Now, on that particular matter, Supreme Court has given certain judgments. Okay. Now, guys, here comes the concept of euthanasia. Here comes the concept of euthanasia. Now, what is euthanasia? Euthanasia is an act of administering the death to a person. Okay, euthanasia is an act of administering death to a person. There can be two types of euthanasia. There is active euthanasia, and then there is passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia. Now, what is active euthanasia? Active euthanasia is administering a lethal substance, giving an injection containing poison to a person so that a person dies. That is active euthanasia. What is passive euthanasia? Passive euthanasia is to withdraw the life support of a person on which a person is dependent. For example, there is a person by the name of Mr. X. There is a person by the name of Mr. X, and this Mr. X is dependent on a ventilator. He is dependent on a ventilator. If you switch off this ventilator, Mr. X will die, is not able to live on his own. So passive euthanasia means withdrawing this life support, withdrawing this life support. Okay, so this is the two types of euthanasia. Now, as we talk about India, in India, active euthanasia is not allowed, but passive euthanasia can be administered. Passive euthanasia can be administered in certain cases. Okay. Now, when we talk about the passive euthanasia, understand this particular thing. If a passive euthanasia is to be given, it can only be given in the state where a person is suffering terminal illness, where a person is suffering terminal illness, where a person is in a vegetative state, where a person is in a vegetative state. Vegetative state means that a person is unresponsive, is unconscious. Okay. And in the case where the passive euthanasia is to be given, there needs to be a process for that particular thing. Arbitrarily, passive euthanasia cannot be given. Is it clear or not? Now, in this particular context, context comes the concept of advanced medical advanced medical directive. Okay, now this advanced medical directive is also called as living will. It is also called as living will. Okay, now what do we mean by this advanced medical directive or living will? So in 2018 Supreme Court gave a judgment, and in that particular judgment, Supreme Court provided this particular thing, that when a person is suffering a terminal illness, or suppose a person has entered into a state where a person's condition will degenerate every day, there is not a possibility that a person will recover. In such a capacity, a person can sign an advanced medical directive, can sign a living will. What is this living will? In living will, the person can give approval that after such a time or after such a condition, I should be given passive euthanasia. You have a right that you can switch off the machine, you can switch off the ventilator, on whose basis I am being kept alive. So a person can give approval to such advanced medical directive or can sign that living will. And in that particular case, a person will be fit to receive the passive euthanasia. That was something that was provided. Now guys, it has been provided that the passive euthanasia that was given by the advanced medical directive in 2018 by the Supreme Court, it is impractical. It many number of times it become very much difficult to achieve that. Now see this particular thing. Basically guys, there is a condition. It has been provided that earlier there was a condition that the advanced medical directive, this advanced medical directive that was to be signed, it required the signature of two independent witnesses. It has to be countersigned. It has to be countersigned by judicial magistrate. Okay, so understand this thing. The person, okay, who is suffering such illness, he will give approval, then two independent witness will also be signing it, and then all these things have to happen in the presence of a judicial magistrate. Then only that living will, that advanced medical directive will be considered as valid. Okay, now it led to a lot of problem. Why? Because guys, understand this particular thing. This provision, it has to be countersigned by a and also has to be countersigned by a judicial magistrate. Now often judicial magistrate, now it was not possible for such people to reach to a judicial magistrate. Okay, and moreover, when we talk about the judicial magistrates, they already have so much of work, so much of burden. So point is that this particular thing was not being implemented on the ground. So therefore, some new norms have come, some new rules have come. So just if we see here, now a constitution bench of Supreme Court has removed an unsurmountable means a huge obstacle, okay, for the patients who are suffering with the terminal illness. Now, I have written also here that what is the meaning of the advanced medical directive, so that if you download these notes, you can read it. Let me read it for you. What is an advanced medical directive? It is also called as a living will. It is a document that outlines a person's wishes regarding medical treatment in the event they become unable to make a decision. Okay, so if a person is in cancer and every day his condition will degenerate and after some time he will not be able to make a condition, so he is giving this living will that what you should do with me. Fine. So this is something, when we talk about the living will, it is not legally recognized. We don't have a law, but Supreme Court has recognized it in 2018. Now, what Supreme Court has done? Now Supreme Court has simplified the process and these new guidelines have now come. It has simplified the processes and these new guidelines have come. What are these new guidelines? Here it has been provided that a living will is needed to be signed by the executor or by the patient, number one independent witness in the presence of a notary or a gazetted officer. in a presence of a notary. Earlier judicial magistrate was needed. Now judicial magistrate is not needed. In the presence of a notary or in the presence of gazetted officer, that living will can be signed and that living will be valid. Okay, so what they have done, they have simplified the process. They have simplified the process. Clear? So this is, guys, the entire issue that have happened here. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now guys, as we talk about the living will, it also becomes an ethical question, that whether it is ethical or not. Now understand this particular thing. Sometimes it is said that it is ethical because the person who is living is in pain, okay, and keeping that person artificially alive is increasing that person's suffering every day. So it is ethical, fine, that person should be given death. But at the same time, it has been said that when a third party is giving euthanasia, passive or active, that party will be held responsible for the death of that person. So on their behalf, it is unethical. So this is a debate that will go on. Okay, so that is all, guys, about it. And now moving to the next article. Tihar jail to get artificial intelligence powered surveillance system. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, criminal justice system reforms. Criminal justice system reforms. And I have told you earlier also, if you are following the analysis regularly, you might be knowing it. What do we mean by this criminal justice system? So criminal justice system includes the police. It includes the police, which is responsible for the investigation, which is responsible for investigating a crime. Okay, we here include judiciary. And thirdly, we include prisons. Okay, so criminal justice system reforms includes reforms at these three levels. We know this particular thing, that there is a criminalization of police that has happened. Often police becomes inefficient in dealing with the crimes. Many number of times investigation is not fair and objective. Okay, police personnel are ill, basically police personals, fine, their point is that the police often is ill equipped in terms of the aids, weapons that they are having. Okay, the shortage of police personnel is also a very big problem. When we talk about the judiciary, we see this particular thing, that judicial pendency is huge. Nearly or more than 4 crore cases are pending in judiciary. And when we talk about prisons, there is one very big problem in the prisons that we are going to discuss today. Is it clear or not? Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the punishment, what is objective of punishment? What is the objective of punishment? Objective of punishment could be retribution, could be deterrence, and could be reformation. So a punishment could have these three objectives: retribution, deterrence, and reformation. Retribution means punishing a person for his crime. Okay, an eye for an eye. You did harm, now you will bear the harm. Okay, that is retribution. Okay, then the next is deterrence. Deterrence means giving a person such a high punishment so that it creates an example for other people, that others should also not do this particular crime. There is one very popular saying, and that popular saying goes something like this, that you are not being punished because you have stolen the sheep. Sheep means a sheep. Okay, sheep from which we get a wool. You are not being punished because you have stolen the sheep. Rather, you are being punished so that no sheep is stolen in the future. You are being punished so that no sheep is stolen in the future. Okay, we are creating an example by punishing you. So, retribution, punishment will be commensurate to the crime. Deterrence, punishment will be higher than the crime. And then reformation. Reformation means punishing a person not to create an example, not to punish because you have, not to put you in harm, but to change your character, to reform a person so that person realizes the mistake. Okay, so these are the three objectives of punishment: retribution, deterrence, and reformation. Okay, now India being a welfareist democracy, India being a rule based and justice governed democracy, we give punishment for the third reason, that is reformation. So Indian system is based on the concept of reformation. Is it clear or not? That is the thing. Now point is that when we talk about the jails, we are putting the people in the jail in a hope that they will be reformed, but the point is that our jails have become such a facilities which make a person even a more hardened, that makes a person even more seasoned criminal. Okay, there are many problems. Now I will, if I tell you guys here about particularly the Tihad jail, if I particularly tell you about the Tihad jail, so guys, the Tihad jail is the largest prison complex in entire South Asia, not in India, entire South Asia, and many of the high profile criminals, they are lodged in the Tihad jail. It is a maximum security jail. Okay, Tihad jail, though it has a capacity of just 5,200 inmates, but right now more than 12,700 inmates are lodged in this particular jail. So more than 200% capacity of this particular Tihad jail has been utilized. Now guys, over the past few years, we have seen that within the jail there is a kind of an organized system that is going on, by which the criminals are executing their operations. For example, recently we have seen that a Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala died, so the plotting for his murder happened within the Tihad jail. Okay, a con man, Sukesh Kumar, a con man, he carried 200 crore rupees scandal from within the jail. From the jail, the people are running their operations and all such kind of things. Recently, more than 300 mobile phones were seized from the jails. So the point is that these jails have become the facility from where people are still running their uh, criminal networks. So we need to ensure that a proper surveillance needs to be there in the jails. Now guys, those CCTV cameras are there in the jail, but point is that we have a limited manpower. Now see this thing, CCTV camera is recording all the activity, but who will then supervise that thing? Who will then see that recording? Fine, to supervise it, to screen it, we don't have manpower. So therefore, now Tihad jail will be deploying artificial intelligence AI based cameras. AI based cameras. What these AI based cameras? These AI based cameras will keep a tab on the repetitive hand movements of the people. So if the prisoners are assaulting some another person, if they are assaulting another inmate, okay, or if the hand movements are suggestive of a phone call, for example like this, okay, so these AI based cameras, they will notify, they will trigger an alert to the officers, and officers can take the cognizance of this particular matter. Is it clear? The cameras will also capture these instances of inmates when they are leaving a designated parameter. So this is something that has been provided. Now it is difficult for a human to monitor these footages, so therefore the AI based systems are being used here. AI based systems are being used here. So this is guys the reform that has been brought in the Tihad jail. And the point is that such kind of reforms, such kind of instant, now understand this thing, when we talk about the Indian jails, occupancy in Indian jails stands at more than 120%. All the jails, some have 200% like Tihad jail, some have 170%, but on an average more than 120% occupancy is there, and police personal's human resources always limited. So this technological based solutions can serve a solution, solutions. Okay, so this is about this particular article. Now moving to next article, going green. Going green. Now this particular article is talking about the budget proposals. It's talking about the budget proposals for environmental conservation, for green growth, Clear? So this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, environment, ecology and conservation. So let's see this particular article. Now guys, by the way, we have discussed the entire budget in lot more detailed. Both the static as well as current affair dimension of budget has been covered in the video that we came with on 2nd of February. If you haven't seen, you may seen it. You may see it. Now, coming to the article. So basically, first of all, guys, we have also discussed in our session that recently World Economic Forum's annual meeting was held. So recently, World Economic Forum's annual meeting was held. Now, World Economic Forum is a think tank. It is a non-governmental think tank in which CEOs, civil activists, CEOs, civil activists, then leaders, okay, political leaders, they come together and they discuss some of the emergent problems of the world. So in this World Economic Forum's annual meeting, now it is held at Davos. Davos is a town in Switzerland. So in Davos, they provided this thing that today India holds the key to hitting the global climate change targets. Now see this thing that, for example, when we talk about the Paris, when we talk about Paris, so in 2015, Paris Agreement was reached. And as per this Paris Agreement of 2015, it was provided that we need to ensure that the temperature should not rise beyond 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible, then temperature should not rise beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. So goal was of 2 degrees Celsius, but if possible, we'll try to ensure that temperature should not rise above 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the countries, they needed to take certain steps for that the carbon footprint is minimized. In this capacity, India is going to play a very important role. Guys, why? Because today India happens to be one of the world's largest carbon emitter, though on per capita basis we are the lowest carbon emitter, but anyhow our population is so much that in absolute numbers we become the biggest carbon emitter in the world. So if India will ensure that their development, their growth is green growth, entire world's climate targets can be fulfilled. It has been suggested. So therefore it has been provided that India needs to play an important role. Now see this thing, as India will overtake China in terms of population, and according to some reports, India had done that also. So as India is growing, India's population is growing, our appetite for energy, our appetite for electricity, energy is also going to increase. So therefore, transition to green alternatives is very much important. Is it clear or not? Transition to green alternatives is very much important. And in this particular capacity, the budget 23-24 has given a special attention to green industrial and economic transitions. Green industrial and economic transitions. First of all, guys, electric vehicles. As we talk about energy, energy is used to a large degree for mobility purposes. What is mobility purposes? Transportation purposes. Today, for transportation purposes, we are coming with a good intervention, that is adoption of electric vehicles, and almost all the automobile makers are coming with their versions of electric vehicles. Now, to make electric vehicles more attractive, what government has come? First of all, many of the state governments and even the central government had provided, state government has provided that uh, registration taxes on the new vehicles will be waived off if it is an electric vehicle. Good thing. Now the new budget has proposed this particular thing, that they will exempt custom duty on the import of capital goods and machinery required to manufacture the lithium ion cells in EV batteries. Now, when we talk about the electric vehicles, approximately 45 to 50% of the cost of an electric vehicle is because of the battery pack, and this battery is the lithium ion batteries. And today when we talk about the lithium ion batteries, either we import lithium ion batteries directly from other countries, or today, though we have started the development or manufacturing of lithium ion batteries, but we need to import some inputs for that. We need to import heavy machinery for the manufacturing of the lithium ion battery, and on such machineries, such inputs, there was a huge custom duties that were there earlier. Now budget has proposed this particular thing, that custom duties will be removed from such machineries, goods which are used to make lithium ion batteries. By that particular thing, what will happen? The cost of the electric vehicles will go down and people will adopt it more, and by that particular thing, green mobility will come in India. So this is something that is good. Then next proposal that budget has brought is that now viability gap funding mechanism will be brought to support the battery energy storage system. Now, what is this entire thing? Okay, I'll explain you in very simple words in just 1 minute, but I'll repeat this line again. So what has happened? Viability gap funding, VGF, will be given to support the battery energy storage systems. Now let's understand this particular thing. Now suppose guys, suppose uh, suppose I started any project. Suppose I started any project. Let's say I started a highway development project. Highway development project. Now, the point is that highway development project has been started by a private player. Has been started by a private player. Now, what has happened? This highway development project has been completed to the tune of 80%. Has been completed to the tune of 80%. But now, this person has ran out of money. This person has ran out of money. And because this person is not having the money, he cannot complete this particular project. So what happened here? The viability gap funding can be given. Viability gap funding. So there is a gap of 20%. There is a gap of 20%. So we can give this 20% fund so that this gap is fulfilled. So viability. Now see this thing, understand this thing. If we give this particular person some money, this project will become viable. 80% money has been invested. Because it is not completed, it cannot be used. Even that 80% money invested, it is a waste. So to make a project viable, some additional funding can be given, and that funding is called as the viability gap funding. Viability gap funding. Now government has proposed viability gap funding in the context of the battery energy storage systems. Now why this battery energy storage system is important? Understand this particular thing. Guys, today we are developing a lot of wind energy. We are developing a lot of wind energy by the wind turbines. We are trying to develop the solar energy by the solar photovoltaic cells, solar photovoltaic projects. Good. But the point is that these energies are needed, these electricity that we are producing are to be stored in the battery packs. Understand this thing. Now, suppose a town has to depend entirely on the solar energy. In the daytime, sun will shine, you can make electricity. But how you will use electricity in the night time? In the night time, sun will not be there. So what we need to do? We need to store electricity in the batteries in the daytime so that we can use it in the night time. Okay, so now whenever we talk about the renewable energies, understand these renewable energies, they are many number of times they are erratic. For example, if there is a cloudy day, fine, you will not be able to generate too much of the solar electricity. So we need to store them and we need to transfer them from one place to another place. So for that, battery storage becomes very important. So we aim to develop 4000 MWh battery energy storage system. For that thing, private player will incentivized, and if they are not able to complete that project, viability gap funding will be given to them. Viability gap funding will be given to them. Now, this is very much important because guys, if I'll read here for you, that wind turbine farms, solar photovoltaic projects, and characteristically, they are the producers of the variable electric supply. Variable electric supply. Some day much electricity they will generate, some days less. For example, if windy, if the weather, if clouds are there, if rains are there, solar energy will be less. So, but we need regular electricity. So for that, battery will become important. Now, moreover, finance minister has also announced interstate transmission system. Interstate, now 8300 crore rupees have been given for interstate transmission system. Now, what is this interstate transmission system? Now, guys, understand this thing. When we talk about Ladakh, Ladakh happens to be a very important region for the development of solar energy. Barren, big stretches of land are there. Sunshine is very sharp there in the Ladakh. So in Ladakh, we can deploy solar plants. We can even deploy wind turbines in the Ladakh. But how you will evacuate electricity from Ladakh to the other parts of the country? So for that particular thing, a grid network will be developed and interstate transmission system will be developed so that electricity that is being generated in Ladakh can be evacuated from that place. So for that, we have planned that 20,700 crore will be given, and out of that 8,300 crore will be given in this from this budget. So this is about all the initiatives that government has taken to enhance the uptake of renewable energies in India. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now moving to next article. Charge sheet scrutiny. Charge sheet scrutiny is not a case of prying eyes. Now this article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2 judicial issues. GS paper number 2 judicial issues. Okay, now let's take this particular article, but guys, understand this thing, you don't need to go too much in detail in this particular article for the sake of examination. Why? I'll tell you, just you'll understand it in just 1 minute when you'll read this article. So basically guys, what has happened recently, Supreme Court has come out with the order. Supreme Court has come out with the order against the public scrutiny of a charge sheet before a trial begins. Now, first of all, understand that what do we understand by charge sheet? What is a charge sheet? So charge sheet is a detailed document that is prepared by an investigative agencies, and in that document that investigative agency will list down the crime details, the witnesses that they have testified. So all the account of a crime, detailed account of a crime is given in a document, and that document is called as a charge sheet. Okay, so that is a charge sheet. Now Supreme Court had said that the charge sheet is not to be put in public domain. It is not to be put in a public scrutiny before a trial begins. Now, basically, what the court said this thing, that charge sheet in a crime, that is a detailed account of that crime details, it is not a public document. It is not a public document and doesn't comes within the Right to Information Act 2005, or as a public document, it also doesn't comes under the Indian Evidence Act. So therefore, nobody can make a demand, nobody can request that a charge sheet for a case needs to be put in public domain. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Many number of times, for example, there are certain people on whom the cases are filed, for example, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, National Security Act. Okay, many such crimes are being slapped on the people. Now many times it is said that these are just the politically motivated cases that have been slapped on these people. So charge sheet, many activists demand that you show us the charge sheet, that what you have done in that case. Okay, so therefore it is demanded many number of times. Now it has been said that such ruling that has come by the Supreme Court, the author is criticizing, or author is not happy with such kind of a ruling. Okay, it has been said that it will bring a setback, it will bring a setback for the greater transparency in the criminal justice system. Now here the reference has been given of the Youth Bar Association of India versus Union of India case 2016. Now in this particular judgment, Supreme Court provided this particular thing, that FIR, first information report, FIR should be it directed at the FIR in any case should be on the relevant investigating agency's website within 24 hours. So whenever an FIR has been filed, that FIR should be on the investigating agency's website within 24 hours. For example, if Delhi police is investigating a case, FIR should be on the website of the Delhi police. So FIR in a way has been made as a document which needs to be put in a public domain. So by that logic, why charge sheet now will not be in a public domain? Charge sheet is a reformed version. Charge sheet is a more detailed version. So why charge sheet is not being put in public domain? This is being criticized. Okay, it has been provided in the court's view. Now charge sheet, fine, that is a final report specified by the, is on a footing different from the FIR. According to them, charge sheet is on a different ground, FIR is a different ground. Okay, this is something that has been provided. Okay, now guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the judiciary, in the early days, courts were sacrosanct kind of institution. Courts deemed themselves to be a sacrosanct institution. Court didn't allow anybody to criticize them. Anybody criticized the court, on that person contempt of court charge was slapped. Now people are very casually criticizing judiciary. Fine, that is something that is happening. Okay, now in this backdrop, the Supreme Court's decision to keep charge sheet away from the public knowledge could be disapproved by those people. Now people criticize judiciary. People are often questioning judiciary, and now this thing will lead these people to question even more. Judiciary will be questioned even more by these people. Okay, so therefore it has been said that this is not such a good thing. Okay, it is a wake-up call to investigating agencies. Now see this thing, earlier the charge sheet was in public scrutiny. Fine, public spirited individuals could have studied that charge sheet. some prominent lawyers, advocates, the people who have the knowledge of law could study that charge sheet, and if there was a problem, they could have come for the rescue of the people, of the victim. Now these investigating agencies, for example the CBI, etc., they need to be very careful that they need to put such kind of they need to put the charge sheet which are based on objective ground. Many number of times they have been called for a poor quality of investigation, but now they need to take it in their own hand. So this is something that has been provided in this particular article. Okay, so guys, that is all about it. Fine, I hope that you have understood. Now moving to next article. Okay, so India to showcase success in okay, India to India to showcase success in rural and archaeological tourism at G20 meeting. So guys, you might be knowing all this thing already. We have discussed it also many number of times that for 2023, India holds the chair of G20. India holds the chair of G20, and more than 200 meetings will be conducted in the major cities, major locations of India. And as these 200 meetings will be done, India will invite G20 delegates and will also present India's the brand India as a tourism, So for showcasing India's tourism, now India will focus on rural tourism and archaeological tourism. Now guys, what do we understand by rural tourism? So there are many villages, for example in the Kutch region of Gujarat, and these villages are the site of tourists go there, tourists live in the villages with the people, and the villages have developed the homestays. People are going there and they are trying to learn about their culture, they are learning about their cuisine. Fine, so they want to live the life of the rural people. So in India, rural tourism have become important, archaeological tourism also has become important. Now particularly India will showcase the rural tourism to G20 delegates, and for that thing some of the villages have been chosen by India. What villages? For example, ladpura khas ladpura khas village of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Honoma village of Nagaland, okay, Dholavira, which also happens to be the heritage site. So these sites will specifically be publicized and G20 delegates will be taken here. Now, guys, it has been provided that rural and archaeological tourism is going to be a special attraction, particularly in the run of Kutch. There are many rural villages where tourists go. Now, it has also been provided that India has also developed an innovative model of community based astrotourism. Now you see this thing when we talk about, for example, the Ladakh region. So Ladakh region is renowned for its astrotourism. What is astrotourism? People going there and witnessing the night sky, people going there and witnessing the stars. These stars are usually not visible from the cities because of the artificial light pollution that is there. So to observe the sky, to observe the constellation, to observe the stars, people are going to these remote places. So this is an astrotourism that has developed, and in these astrotourism, rural homestays are developing, community spaces are developing. Now these community spaces, rural homestays, are run by the villagers, and it is providing travelers an experience, and these rural people are also able to make some income out of it. And for that particular thing, Himalayas, Nagaland, fine, they present a model of ecotourism, they present such kind of a models, so it will be scaled, it will be showcased. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article that has come. Okay, now moving on for the main practice question for today. So today's question reads, transition to green alternatives from the current reliance on fossil fuels is an urgent imperative for India to fulfill the commitment of net zero carbon emission by 2070. Analyze. So this is going to be the question for GS paper number 3, 10 marker question. Okay, so please write this question, and guys, where you can upload your answers. So we have a peer reviewed platform on Telegram. So how to reach there? You go to our main Telegram channel, Thinking Palette by Sahil. There you will find a pinned comment. On the pinned comment, fine, there are 2-3 messages in pinned comment. So one message contains a link for our peer reviewed platform. You can reach there and you can submit your answer there. Other fellow aspirants are also writing answer. You can learn from their answers, but they are writing, and they are also giving reviews to each other. They are doing really good work. You should join it. Fine. So that is all guys about today's session. Now we'll be meeting on Monday. Okay, so we'll be meeting on Monday. Till then guys, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.